At 2-3, the Baylor Bears have plenty of reasons to not believe that this season is going to go the way that they wanted it to and have a winning record, go to a bowl game, save their coach's job, all those good things. I'm sure there are plenty in the fan base that have given up on it. And I'm not that far away, by the way, just from what I've seen on the field so far. It's tough to keep a lot of faith at 2-3 again. But that's what faith's all about. And I think we know a little something about faith with Baylor, if I might say so myself. Baylor, the university, more so than just the football program. And so it's a tough position because as much as we all see it, the fans / media, I use that liberally, are seeing it right now at 2-3 for the second year in a row and staring down the barrel of another disappointing season. It's also pretty tough for the players. They were here last year. Most of these guys, they went through 3-9. Still, some of the coaches that are here this year went through 3-9 last year. No one wants it to happen again, right? We have all kind of been on that train. No one wants to happen again, no matter what is happening on the field right now. But my concern is there's a lot of guys on this team who don't know what winning for a whole season looks like. Feels like, there's less than a handful of holdovers from the 2021 team and really only one that was a contributor for both teams. And that's Matt Jones. That's in the rear view. It's been 3 years since you had a winning season. For a college football team or any college team, that's a long time because you don't have a lot of kids who are used to that. And with how many young guys you started for the first time last year who are in important roles this year, that's like one setting that they've seen, and it's losing. And right now, you add it up and it's 5-11, 5-12 for those guys who just really started playing for the team last year. That's not a lot of wins to go off of and see what a winning team looks like day in, day out. We heard Caleb Parker talk about it after the game Saturday, what practice looks like when your team is winning and who is leading and all those things. So I say that to say, not to pile on, but just to say this is a tough ask for these kids emotionally and mentally of how do we get over the hump of not being a bad football team anymore, because they were last year and they're teetering on that right now at 2-3. And they know that. And finally, the media got to hear from Sawyer Robertson for like the first time ever. We know what his voice sounds like now. He's the starting quarterback now. And Sawyer was pretty candid about what it's going to take and the mentality shift that needs to happen for the Bears.
There's a lot of fight in this team. And, I believe in every single one of those guys in the locker room. I love every single one of them. Believe in all the coaches, love every one of the coaches. And I think, when that's the foundation, special things can happen. And so we're just going to keep doing that. We're going to keep fighting every day, putting ourselves in the best position to win. And, the results will come, and hopefully you just got to trust it.
They do have plenty of fight. One thing you can't argue against is they have plenty of fight. They've shown that. What Baylor fans, and I'm sure inside that Baylor locker room, the feeling is it needs to be 4 quarters. It can't be 2 quarters here, 2 quarters there. So the fight definitely is there. And that's why I think, because let me say this, the fight is there. The talent is there. And by there, I mean better than last year. The fight is better than last year. The talent is better than last year. And still, it's stringing 4 quarters together and playing winning football for 60 minutes. That's what's missing. It was missing last year. You sometimes wouldn't get 15 minutes of winning football from this team last year. And it was missing towards the end of the year before in 2022. That's why, to me, the obstacles that this team has are not physical. Okay, are they the best team in the conference? No. Personnel-wise, are they the worst team? No, I don't think they're close to that. But right now, their record shows them as one of the worst teams. If that weird Utah game was a conference game like it should have been, because they're a team in the conference, they'd be 0-3 in the Big 12. So that is, if you're going by the Parcells record of you are who your record says you are, that shows a bad team. But from our eyeballs, we know this is not a bad team. They're just not putting it together yet. And the clock is ticking. Don't get me wrong. The clock is ticking on putting those things together. But the season is not over. And I had to explain to some people, some fans of the show, or people who at least listen to the show, because while, I can paint a doom and gloom picture sometimes, and none of us are happy after a loss, and I don't think things are going swimmingly, that doesn't mean the season is over. And this locker room seems to be at least appreciating that fact, that this is not over. And so the hurdle going forward is not physical, it's mental. And I said it after the Colorado game. It's nothing against this group. I just don't know that they have been able to pick up the pieces before. The last 2 seasons, when they've been hit in the mouth after that Sugar Bowl win in 22 and 23, when they've been hit in the mouth, they haven't had a good enough response. And it's very clear that this team wants to avoid another 3-9. And I think there's some execution things, obviously, that they need to iron out. But a lot of it is just mental. At 19, 20, 21 years old, how do you push forward as a team? How do you keep that faith? How do you buy into what you believe your identity is when the identity has not worked so far through the first month of the season and didn't work last year? How do you keep pushing forward? It's like a great biblical narrative. What your faith is being tested right now. Your faith in each other, your faith in your coaches, your faith in what this program is meant to be. That's being tested right now. As evidenced by, as I just mentioned, the 5-12 the last season plus, and the 4 straight losses. So 5 of their last 21 games they've won. This is where the faith gets tested. And a lot of guys are turning their eyes to Sawyer Robertson, the guy who we just heard. That's who they're turning to as their leader on the field, as the quarterback. And he was talking about in another soundbite, turning to Hal Presley, who we talked about on yesterday's show. There's a select few guys here for this Baylor team that will really get tested in terms of their leadership, their ability, and their faith in their guys, in their coaches. And it's obviously my sincere hope that these guys do keep the faith. I know there are a couple of you sprinkled out there who are keeping the faith in this season. It's not over. It doesn't look great. And they have a super big test on Saturday that I don't feel great about, but it's not over. 4-3 the rest of the way is what they need to be. And they haven't shown that since the first half of the season 2 years ago in 2022, or the middle of that season. They haven't shown that they could be a team that's 4-3 over a 7-week span, but that's why they call it faith. That's what I'll say. Matt Campbell has faith in his team, but also says that he might have some faith in this Baylor team because he said that they are the best one that Iowa State will have faced up to this point. That's interesting. Why did he say that? That's coming up next. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. We really appreciate that. And if you want to keep up to date on all the Baylor sports news, be sure to give us a like and ring the notification bell, because we are your first listen today and every day. We are your exclusive home for nothing but Baylor sports content 5 days a week that's not coming straight from the university. Be sure to follow us here on YouTube and also wherever you get your podcasts, and on Twitter as well at Locked On Baylor. Thanks so much again. Have a good one. And sick 'em.